Up out here, the oblivious stalker here. Bada boom. There we go. Get these. Put them on hot seat. There we go. So this is what real life stalking looks like, ladies and gentlemen. An oblivious stalker from hell. Got his tag, everything. I'm gonna... It's Richard Moore, United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association. Once again in Tupelo, Mississippi, perverts always lurking. Notice the gray, the dark, and the white pattern. This has been going on for the last 30 minutes on the 2-lane country roads ever since I left my residence about 45 minutes ago. And it continues, and so I thought I'd go ahead and capture a little bit of video and the importance of the video that I'm capturing. And I've got the same color pattern beside me and of course behind me, and they make it a point to be at crossroads, in other words, where the victim, the target, doesn't miss it. So this is deep rooted in the community pervert policing program and the multi-jurisdictional task force, COPS program, Citizen Corps, and anybody with some type of sick fetish hang-up program can always get a job with the perverts always lurking. And the importance of this is the sheriff, the chief law enforcement officer of this county, as well as the yet to be named chief of police, city of Tupelo Police Department, is going to be added on to this federal lawsuit and see if we can curb their proclivity to obstruct justice, thumb their nose at our judicial system, the Constitution, civil liberties, and the abject oppression of American citizens with continuous 24 hours a day, 7 days a week surveillance. They're not investigating something. When an individual is being investigated for something, I want to clear this up for those that feel like they're investigating something. When you're being investigated for something, usually the first clue an individual has is when they get handcuffs on their hands. Not when you've got parades of ass clowns color coordinating, let me kind of turn this, color coordinating, synchronizing stupidity. And Tupelo has absolutely made it a point that not only are we going to do this, we're going to do it relentlessly, and we're going to gaslight the victim and scratch our heads and pretend like we have no clue what he's talking about. This is the reason Union County is named in 2 federal lawsuits for gaslighting, thus confirming and rubber stamping crimes against citizens, crimes against humanity. Now, one would say, well, driving around in color patterns, well, that makes a person insane. No matter how crazy you are, folks, does not create these color patterns. I'm on this specific road because they love it. They love to stalk on it because it's heavily traveled, and they can get all these losers clutched up and get them on one road real easy. And so this is North Gloucester and Tupelo, Mississippi. Now, for the oblivious citizen, would have no idea of the fact, well, sure is a lot of traffic. There's always a lot of traffic. But any other day, any other person, if they're not a target, they're going to see, they can roll up through here at a different time. You'll never be able to document what I'm documenting. Now, mind you, the same color pattern that, get this out of the way of my holster here. I'll hold this thing. This color pattern here is identical behind me. All right, there we go. Same color pattern. So this is what they kicked it off today, running it. They really like the black and white. That's a Masonic deal. And I've been more than vocal about not only my faith and where God stands on secret fraternal organizations, that they're absolutely put together and with no intentions. These organizations do not deliver a message of Christ and Him crucified. Thereby, ladies and gentlemen, there's no possibility of this organization doing any good. Now, with that said, with this G in the middle of their emblem, they said this is for God. I don't know what God they're talking about. If they're talking about the God I'm talking about, then yes, it is about that God. And it's called blasphemy. It is called pathetic, absolute despots, heathens. And the disciples asked Jesus, so how are we going to know in the last days about these false prophets and false Christ? And Jesus turned and sternly said, be on guard, lest any of you be deceived. Many will come in my name. Many will be claiming Christ, but lack the Spirit therein. That is a false Christ, a false prophet. This is not to be confused with Antichrist, but it's these people that will usher in the Antichrist. If you're not for Christ, then you're Antichrist. If you're not pro-life, then if you're pro-life, you're anti-abortion. If you're for abortion, then you're anti-life. So that's calling a spade, folks. It's not messing words. And many of these people, the reason I bring it up continuously, because it is an affront on God's children. God can only do His work on this earth through His people. Through His people. And He will only function off of a prayer. God says you have not because you ask not. He knows our needs. He said the very hair on your head, I don't have many, so it's not a hard count, and the grains of the sand are numbered. He knows every star by its name. In our galaxy, there are over 300 billion stars, and He knows them all by name. And outside of our galaxy, there's over 300 billion other galaxies, and those having over 300 billion stars. And He knows them by name as well. And the scriptures tell us that He created all of that with the span of His hand. That's the length from your little finger to your thumb. Just push, woof. He created that. He knows them all by name. He knows His children by name, those that accepted Christ. Jesus said the only way to the Father is but by me. There is no other way. Now, anybody that calls themselves born again or a child of God, and they're participating in community policing, organized gang stalking, and they're calling themselves a child of God, I'm telling you, folks, there's something wrong with that picture. That's called a liar, a false prophet, a person that is lost. And they believe that they invoke it with their name, but their heart has never changed. They haven't been born again. They hadn't died to self and become that new creature. Once you become that new creature, you don't participate in things that you know that are terrorizing and oppressing another human being. Jesus didn't do it. And by grabs, He wouldn't have any of His people do it. God will never allow one of His to come against one of His own. So this is a direct reflection of the multi-jurisdictional task force, and which Jim Johnson is the point man for that, as well as the sheriff of Lee County. And thanks to him and the chief of police, they, instead of having a backbone, instead of a wishbone, they've absolutely dug their heels in. Why? Because a lot of people are culpable, judges, attorneys, private entities, are all culpable and participating in this holistic approach to community policing, which means everybody does their part. But I'm here to tell you what they're doing is criminal. What they're doing is not what they're telling people they do. Of course, they're going to talk out of both sides of their mouth. Of course, they have no issues with lying, because the very word lie is a different definition. Think back with Bill Clinton. It depends on what your definition of sex is. You know, and we were off to the races on what I defined that word different. That was accepted, and the same people accepted that then are the same people that were gullible enough, shallow-minded enough, narrow-minded enough. I've always said these narrow-minded people, the churches are full of them. There's a world of them. And if their asses were as narrow as their mind, you could get a whole world of them on one church pew. So we got color-coordinated stalking, harassment by not narrow ass, but big fat ass, but narrow-minded, pathetic stalkers in Tupelo, Mississippi.